right, so now we have pulled over our first little video. And so if we put it on the timeline, and if we just play it, it just plays like a video, right? All right, so now what we want to do is add some audio. So if you see here, V1, V2, V3, these are these are video channels. All your video channels are at the top. A1, A2, A3, and it can go on forever. These are your audio channels, V for video, A for audio. You cannot put, watch, if I drag and drop, my audio is not letting me put it at the top because it's video on top. But if I pull it down, do you see what happens? It pops up and gives me that option. All right, so now this is my video. So now I have music that goes along with the video. And you can already see, like, just you're already creating something. Like, it just gives video tone, and it just gives it pace, everything. So cool. So you've already created like a little video, and it's just putting your video track here, your audio track here. Okay, so you can also add images, and we'll do that in a second, but I want to show you something. So anytime any Adobe program, they have this idea of layers. These are big things, layers. And then when you click on something, you have options for whatever that something is. If it's Photoshop, Illustrator, anything, you click on it, you have options. So let's double click on the video file. And here it pops up into the source window. Okay. So in the source window, it lets you look at your video file. And for example, if you only wanted just a piece of the video, sometimes you just want a clip, you can preview. This is basically like a preview window. You can preview your file here. And what it will do is like, oh, I don't really want all the beginning here where you have all that water art. When it gets to the sun, right when the sun comes in, that's where I want it. You can press I, you'll use this a lot, I on your keyboard for endpoint. And then I just want it, and right at the end of the sun, I say out for out point. And do you see what it did here? It clipped it for me. And that way I don't have to work on my timeline and zoom in, Z for zoom in and try to figure out where it comes. I can do it here in my preview window, and then it can edit it here. You have a question, Clint? Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry, you're muted. Sorry about that.
I muted. I just want to make sure if I can ask a question.
Of course.
You're using you're using Windows. I use Apple, so I'm on an iPad or a Mac. Mm-hmm. So those same commands, do you think that's the same as it would be on Mac? The I and the Z and okay.
Yep. The I, the O, the Z, that's all the same. I use a Mac at work. So Mac and PC, those are different. The only time it'll be different is if I say control, it'll be command on the Mac, but everything else is the same. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Great question.
All right. Sorry about that.
Oh, no. I just have to make sure I'm looking over there. Okay. So yes. So yeah, you get it. So basically whatever you're working on here, you can edit it in your preview window. But in addition to that, the most important thing, which you will be using all the time, are effect controls. All right. So now I'm clicked on this piece of, I'll mute this for a second. Here's your mute. You can mute any of your audio tracks by pressing mute on this line. I just want to mute it because it's playing every time I move it. I don't want that. So I mute it and it just stops, just so I won't be distracted. Okay. So if I double click on this, it gives me options for this video. And this is where you can, here on your effects panels, you can pull effects over from here and put it on here. We'll work on that in a moment. But for now, I just want to show you the basics of when you double click on here and you go to your effect controls, then you can control everything. For example, for the motion area, if I want to position it, now I have this funny thing how I remember how to do this. There's two numbers. One is left to right, one is up and down. Okay. So horizontally and vertically. So one way to remember that is H horizontally comes before V vertically, because what happens is that you're like, okay, I just want this to go left and right, and you'll click on this like, no, that's not what I want. And when you're editing, You just, in your mind, if you remember, the first controls are H, horizontal, which comes before V, vertical, and that helps you because sometimes you just want to do it quickly and you're like, wait, which is which? Okay, so do you see how I was able to move that? Simple stuff, right? Left and right, up and down. All right, now, oh, I was like, okay, I don't want this off center, right? If you click this button, it goes back into place, which is really helpful when you're trying to create something and you do something, you move something by accident, you know? All right, and obviously this says scale. It does what it does. It does exactly what you think it would. Move it up and down. Rotation, exactly what you think it would. Rotates. Anchor point. Just moves it around. Another way to move it around. Go back. Opacity, which is really great if you're trying to layer videos. Balbini, you have a question? She turned on her audio. I wasn't sure she had a question. Oh, Hannah, that's Hannah. Okay. Anyway, so you can do this for opacity. You get it, right? Simple stuff. It's just a way to control whatever you have on your timeline. All right, so let's double click on the audio. Or you don't have to even double click, you just click it once. Once you click on the audio, this gives you options. So now I have it going, and I was like, oh, it's a little loud. So what I'll do is turn it down. Hold on, let's see. This is keyframes. We'll get into that for in a moment. We don't want to put a keyframe on there. I'll explain what those are later. But every time that you change your audio, go ahead and unclick this little stopwatch because you don't want it to start higher here and go lower. I want to change the whole track to lower. So I want to click on it. Boom. In my effect controls, I see how I can control this. And I'm going to turn it down to, let's do -15. So that's a little bit better. It's like, okay, I don't like it as loud, so that works. Okay, so that's just basic stuff. All right, so let's go through some of these tools. Let's see, this is a track select forward tool. I don't really use every single tool here, but I can go through the basic tools. How about that? So, and I say that because I've used this program now, oh my gosh, for almost 10 years. And there's still some things I just don't use on here. So I'm going to go through the ones I know that you will use all the time. And the other ones I encourage you just to look up because if I've been using it this long, you probably won't need it, but there may be some things that you may need. But okay, so now say, you know how we were able to, we double click this, we were able to pull out this piece. Say you're in here and I'm like, I'm just in here. I don't want to go back to this area. I just want to cut the beginning of this off. It's exactly what you think it would be. Here's your razor tool. This razor tool is, I think, across the board in most Adobe programs. You click on it, you can pull this over, and then you got rid of that beginning part. All right, very simple stuff. This is a pen tool. I have never used this in here, but if you need to make shapes, you can make shapes here and do different things like that. A lot of stuff, a lot of times if I make shapes, I'll make them in Illustrator and import them. It's a lot easier. And we have an Illustrator training too that we're going to upload. Zoom is exactly what you think it is. Zoom. And to get back to where you want to be, I believe this is in Adobe, in Max as well. You do Alt and you scroll down. Yeah, I'm holding Alt on my keyboard and you can scroll up and you can zoom in. Sometimes if you're zoomed in, really trying to like see where this beat falls and you're like, okay, I just want to see my entire timeline, you take your Alt and you zoom back down. Text tool is exactly what you think it is. This T here. You can put text right on top. We'll work on that in a moment. All right, so that's your pretty simple layout, okay? And then we're going to get into your effects panel where we get into more effects, but that's basically a simple layout. You have any questions so far, Clint? Okay, pretty easy stuff, right? Okay,